Hello YouTube, my name is Sam, and today I'm going to be doing a video that's a little different than normal. So I've got a new mic here I wanted to test out and kind of see how the audio would sound. So in order to do that, I'm going to do a solo video for you guys. I'm going to look at the new Triton sales that have been put up. So we've got Triton session 5 and 6. So I thought that I'd go through and just kind of talk about my thoughts on the coins in Roman Imperial, so late Roman, Byzantine, and early medieval. So looking through here, this is pretty interesting. I noticed these two coins my first time browsing through here. It's a Valentinian III Solidus. It's got great style. If you look at the reverse here, a lot of times the die is more crude and those letters are a lot larger. So to see one this crisp, this clean, this well executed is pretty surprising. It's a great die, great style for the type. This next one is an Odoacer Solidus, struck in the name of Zeno. And the flan is pretty ragged. It's got rough surfaces, but overall it's a nice coin. It's got the interesting mint mark of the 2 dots here towards the end. You don't see that every day, so I thought that's a pretty cool type. Overall, I think that a lot of times you might see this type being more expensive, so even though it has issues, this could be your chance to get that cheap. Looking through here, nothing too interesting. This coin here is the one that I'm looking at, so I don't know if I've talked too much about my collecting habits, but one of my sub-collections is the Provincial coinage of the Byzantine Empire, starting with Constantine II, and so what that would be, Provincial coinage, it would be the territories that the Byzantines kind of reconquered under Justinian onward, so you would look at Byzantine Italy, which would last until the Normans finally took over in the late about 1000-ish date-wise. It would contain Sicily, which fell to the Arabs, and then it would be Carthage in Africa, which also fell to the Arabs. So this is the great coin. It's called a thick solidus. So if you look, the millimeter here, it's at 10 millimeters. Most solidi you'll find are about 20 to 25 millimeters, but the weight here is consistent with those at 4.45 grams. So you might imagine this more as like a sphere than an actual coin because they're so thick that they're very chunky. And they've got the full weight of a solidus, but they're almost half the size diameter-wise. So they're very interesting coins. I'm not sure if there's ever been an explanation as to why they chose such a small flan and such a thick flan at that, but either way, it's a cool coin, might go cheap, one that I'm watching. Looking through here, just some normal solidi, nothing too crazy. Here's another cool one. So this is Theophilus. He was a Byzantine emperor around the mid-800s, and he was the last iconophile, so he hated icons, and he was the last of the Byzantine emperors to outlaw them. Upon his death, the iconodules took back over, and yeah, it was the end of the iconoclast era. So here, it's an interesting depiction. Normally you'll see an emperor either depicted with the Lauros drape or kind of like a draped cuirass style bust. So here you see that Theophilus, it was in his sole reign. He actually depicts two of the most common depictions of an emperor on one coin. On this left side, you can see that sort of drapery, what you might expect with a more traditional Roman-style bust. And on the right here, you see that he's got the Lauros on. So this kind of, they're called double Theophilus coins with double portraits. It's quite interesting that you kind of see the two most standard depictions for an emperor on one coin, whereas normally you'd only have one or the other. So they're pretty cool for that. It's got that fun Syracuse style. And then at $450 to $750, that's not a bad price at all, in my opinion. Going through here, nothing else too crazy. I mean, it's a cool hyperpyron here, hyperpyron, or pyron, not sure how you pronounce that, but it's a decent issue, decent details, but overall nothing too special. Yeah, so these are cool. They've got some Latin Crusader Byzants. I won't look at all of them, but they've got a few examples here, and basically what these were is that the Crusaders at their mints issued sort of imitation style dinars, golden dinars. So they kind of had blundered Arabic here in the legends, and it was actually interesting. They struck these until a pope issued a commandment saying that to issue coins in like Arabic script, that was blasphemous, because even though they were imitations, they would copy the phrase, the Shahadat, I believe is the name, that like Allah is the one true God, Muhammad is his messenger. So by issuing coins with that phrase on there, the Crusaders got in trouble with the Pope. And so after that issue was commanded, they no longer struck these issues, and they actually featured a cross on them and Christian phases in Arabic. But those later post-commandment issues are quite rare, whereas these are pretty common. But overall, they're decent coins, some all right provenance here, going back to the 90s or 2000. So pretty cool. Anything else interesting here? I mean, they've got a few cool coins, Crusaders, some nice bronzes, Some more imitation dinars, this time in silver, but overall, nothing too crazy. So that's my review of session 5. Like I said, my main target, if I bid on anything, will most likely be that Constance II. I think if it goes cheap, it would be a nice addition to my Provincial collection. And even though these aren't the best artistry, they've kind of got a unique charm to them that you can't find elsewhere. And so looking at session 6 here, let's scroll down to more of what I collect. Later Roman, excuse me. So let's see here. So this is starting with the Byzantine. It's not too much in the way of Romans, I guess, in my interest. Aelia Eudoxia, that's a cool Trimissus type, but once again, kind of expensive. I mean, I guess it's an alright price, but it'll probably hammer closer to 1,000. Decent dies, though. And here's a cool one. Julius Nepas, you don't see those too often. This is an AE Numis of his. Hard to say value. It's not in the best condition, but it's a pretty cool type. You can see C&G's actually got the picture backwards with the monogram that should be turned around. But it's pretty nice. And if you want to own a Nepos coin and you don't have thousands of dollars, this might be your best bet here. This is pretty cool. I like these early Byzantine silvers. So this is a Justinian Siliqua. I think it's worth 120 or no, 250 Numi here. Pretty cool Rome mint. So if you kind of like the idea of the Western reconquest of Justinian taking back the West, reestablishing the empire, this might be your best bet here. Just to kind of have a coin that represents that. This would be after the Gothic Wars, once Rome is back under Byzantine control. So it's got cool connections there. Yeah, this one is pretty cool too. This is a Hercules Solidus with Hercules Constantine, and it's an uncertain Eastern mint, and I've seen theories that assign this to the Persian Wars. So when Hercules was fighting Khusro II in that legendary battle, or war that lasted, I think, almost 20 years, starting with his predecessor Maurice. But anyway, these were struck during his final campaigns. When I've seen is a theory they were struck in the East. They've got a unique mint mark here, kind of that I, and I'm not sure how you pronounce that letter, but like the N-looking Greek letter here. But overall, yeah, there's different theories about where it could be, whether it's Alexandria, Cyprus, or an Eastern military mint. I tend to agree with Bendel here, Simon Bendel, that it is an Eastern military mint, but I suppose it hasn't been proven yet. But either way, it's a cool coin that kind of adds an interesting mystery to this above the normal solidity of his. Not too much else, I think, in this auction. It's a nice hexagram here. Pretty decent. You got that nice dynastic portrait where you have Constance II, Constantine IV, Heraclius, and Tiberius, so you kind of get a family snapshot on one coin, which is pretty cool to see. This is a cool coin from the Syracuse mint. That's a rare mint, and you've got Constantine V, Pyromenius, which kind of means baptized in his own dung. He was an iconoclast who wanted to destroy icons, and so I guess when the icon lovers eventually won those wars, they kind of went back and edited history and tried to tarnish his name and his reputation. But it's a cool family dynastic portrait with him on the obverse, or his father on the obverse, I think, and then he and his son on the reverse. This is a nice one here, the Constantine IX Monomachos. We kind of talked about one of these in episode 1 that had a connection to a supernova. This one is pretty cool just for the style. It looks great in my opinion. You've got a nice depiction here of the emperor in the Lauros holding a cross-tipped scepter and the globus cruciger. So I think that if you wanted a depiction of a Byzantine emperor in gold, this would be a nice way to get that at a $300 opening. Estimate of $500, not bad at all. Not too much in the trachea section, nothing special. That's pretty cool. The Axum coins, I don't know much about them, but they've always got an interesting look. It seems to be that this one would be almost at a semissus weight, a half Solidus, just a little bit over. But yeah, a cool coin from an early Christian kingdom. Over here, these are fun. The Ostrogoths, you've got a retariffed Vespasian Sestertius. That's pretty cool. The theory is that, I guess around the 500s when the Ostrogoths ruled, they found a horde of Sestertii and then kind of countermark each one to fit inside their bronze denomination. So this would be reevaluated at 42 Numi of that time, so that's pretty cool. Here's some Crusader issues. This is an interesting depiction of Baldwin II. This is not in the best condition, but you kind of see him here as a Frankish knight. There's a much better one in the main Triton section, but here you can kind of see him standing. He's holding a cross in one hand and a sword in the other, and he's got that chainmail armor and a helmet on. So if you like the Crusades, that's a kind of fun depiction of a king wearing the Crusader garb. And some more imitation dinars here, like I kind of mentioned earlier. So overall, just kind of my thoughts on what I collect and the interesting coins they have at C&G Session 5 and 6.